Hi guys, I hope you guys are good. Yeah, welcome to my YouTube channel. I am recording this at the airport. I'm at OR Tambo, right? And I thought for this video I should just like do some sort of, I don't know. Actually, now that I think of it, think I'm gonna tell you guys about my first ever solo experience, right? So stay tuned, and I'm gonna record the entire video while I'm still here at the airport because I'm waiting to check in, which is in about 40 minutes time. So I could quickly record, grab something to eat, and still make it in time for my check-in. So yeah. Okay, so my first ever solo experience was in what year are we in? We're in 2026 now. It wasn't 2025. I think it was 2024 or 2023. I don't remember. um, no, it was 2024. Yes, now I remember. It was 2024, and I had initially like planned to travel to France with a friend, but then last minute they were like, nope, no can do. So then my cousin and I were like, okay, let's go to Albania, right? Um, and then I was like, but you know what? I'm actually gonna go to France alone. So let's do Albania on my actual birthday and the day after that, you know. So I just had to move my France days a bit to just before my birthday. And yeah, so I'm trying to find Nando's. I don't remember if it's actually here at the airport, but I'm trying to get that. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for while I record this video. But basically, I was like, yeah, I'm still gonna do France. So I went on with my application. I was lucky enough to get my visa after the first try, my Schengen visa, and I did it myself, no help from anybody. I literally had to like go like how to work around it. I watched a couple of videos on YouTube, and I asked a few people that I knew had actually traveled to any like Schengen countries just to find out like how they did it, like what the difference is and stuff like that, right? So that's what I did. And then I got my visa response in less than 2 weeks, so quite quick, you know, and all of that. However, for my first ever Schengen visa appointment, it was quite hectic for the actual appointment because when I got there, I realized how I was like missing a whole lot of stuff. Like I had to print out a whole lot of documents I hadn't printed out, and obviously printing there is a bit more costly than printing like ahead of time, you know. Um, I'm just gonna find a place to stop at for a bit because my arm hurts now from pulling this with one hand. Anyways, yeah, so I did that. I got my visa, and how did I go to France? So the cheapest way to travel at that point was for me to catch a train to France. It's cheaper than me getting a flight. So that's what I did. I booked the train, went on the train, took about 4 hours. Very lovely experience. I met very lovely person on the train, you know, and they basically helped me navigate around when I got to Paris. They just helped me, you know, get a taxi and stuff like that because I wasn't sure where I was gonna go after I get off that train. I was just like, I don't know. I was gonna use my phone. I was gonna use Google Maps. I was gonna wing it, but yeah, there are kind people out there basically in Nashville. Anyways, from there, like after I arrived, went to my hotel and all of that, right? I used to be so scared of traveling alone, and I think that's why I always like try to plan with people and stuff, especially planning for a trip, you know, something that big. But I think it was like really brave of me to decide to go on that trip alone, because let me tell you what, I absolutely loved it. There is no stress of you have to be up at this time, and if you're not, you're gonna delay us for this activity, and there's gonna be people upset with you, there's gonna be people screaming, because I know sometimes I can take a whole lot of time to get ready, and I know that can sometimes piss people off, because I'm like trying to get my makeup done and all of that. Your attention please. Due to the partial closure of the lower roadway. So much noise here, guys. I'm gonna check if my voice is audible before I continue recording, because otherwise this would have all been pointless. So I was saying, listen, I used to like love traveling with people. I would always love to plan with people. I never wanted to travel alone. I always thought if I traveled alone, I'd be bored. Like, what am I going to do alone? You know, and I always depended on people. And so many times people have like canceled last minute, and they're like, oh, I can't come, or this and this has happened, blah, blah, and whatever. And I'm like, this is why we need to save in advance for the trip. Because if you take out a contribution each month, it's not going to feel that deep, you know, with the last payment, as compared to you trying to take out a huge amount all at once. But that solo trip to France was literally a life changer for me. I realized how content I am with spending some alone time, how content I am doing stuff on my own, going to restaurants alone, fancy dining on my own, you know, and going to all these famous places and stuff like that. Check them out on my own. There's no rush. There's nobody telling me, listen, our next stop is in 30 minutes. No, I can take all the time I want. I can like take it all in, you know. And if I want to take more time, do that. And if I decide the next day I want to go back to the next place, I can do that without having to worry about somebody judging me. Come on, we've been to that place. We need to try a different place. No, because guess what? I get to make the decisions. And I think that's like the best part of it all, right? And when I traveled there, like I sort of already had an idea of where I wanted to go check out, the activities I wanted to do. Because when applying for my visa, I had to have some sort of drafted itinerary. So that gave me a brief idea of where I could go from where, what was closer to what activities I could possibly combine into one single day and stuff like that. And honestly, it worked out amazing for me. And if I didn't feel like taking an Uber because I feel like it is expensive, or I wanted to walk instead, I could do that. I remember at some point I walked for like 40 minutes to my next place. And then, as well as when I was going back to my hotel after the last activity, because it wasn't like dark outside, it was like 6, 7 p.m., but the light was still out, you know. And I walked back to my hotel. I mean, it did start raining if you watch my friend's vlog, but I was okay. I was at peace. I was content. I was happy, and that is what matters. Everything else, irrelevant. At the end of the day, your happiness is what matters. And if traveling stress-free makes you happy, then that's that, you know? Okay, so I've had to finish this video at home because I couldn't get it done at the airport, right? But honestly, if you've been thinking about traveling solo, but you've been scared, you've been unsure, or you've been waiting on someone to come for you, I feel like this video is for you. And I just want to say, just do it. Just do it. Why are you going to wait for people who are going to reply you in 2 years' time? Because the truth is, not everyone is always going to be ready. Not everyone's always going to have the financial means to travel. Not everyone's always going to want to go to the same places that you want to go to. And even if they do, not everyone's going to want to do the same activities that you want to do. And for me personally, like when I started traveling solo, I realized something important. If I waited for people to be ready, I would have never gone anywhere, you know. And traveling alone, traveling solo, changed my life in ways that I didn't expect. It taught me confidence, right? It taught me to trust in myself. I could get myself from point A to point B, whether on food, whether on transport. I had to figure that out on my own. I had to figure out what the best places for food were. I had to make all those choices by myself. I had to navigate from the airport alone, planning my days, ordering food in new places, no idea what the food's gonna taste like, just solving problems on my own. I remember, like, sometime after that, when I traveled to Germany alone, I got there at 5 a.m. Got to the hotel and I couldn't check in. Obviously, because it's hours before check-in time. And I had to navigate and solve that problem by myself. Well, with a little bit of help from my mom. But that's not the point. The point is, every small win helps to build your self-belief. And one of the biggest myths about traveling solo is that it is lonely. But the truth is, you get to meet more people when you travel alone. You talk to strangers, you talk to locals and other travelers, you know, tour guides and stuff like that. You become more open, more present, more curious. And I feel like it's also easier for people to approach you because you're alone, you're not in a group, you know. It gives you like some feel of like complete freedom. You wake up when you want, you eat where you want to eat, you change plans without having to explain yourself to anyone. You move at your own pace. And I feel like I've already said these things, but I feel like I have to emphasize them again. There's something very healing about not compromising and simply listening to what you want to do, you know? And yeah. And when it comes to safety, right, because we all know that's very important, I always research my destination. Like, I will do lots of research. Anything that gives me information, I will be looking into TikTok, Instagram, Google, ChatGPT. Any place I can get information, I will be in that place searching for information. Because I want to make sure I know my destination properly, right? I want to stay in well-reviewed accommodation. I want to be able to share my location with somebody I trust, just so they can track it out. Always share my location with certain people so they always know where I am. And I just trust my instincts, you know? If something feels off, I leave. Because what's the point of staying, you know? Better be safe than sorry. And being cautious doesn't mean being fearful. It just means you're protecting yourself. And another beautiful part of traveling solo is that it gives you some sort of self-discovery. When you're alone, you think more clearly, right? You can reflect, you can reconnect with yourself, whether that involves you reading your Bible, reading a novel, going for a massage. You just find the time and the place to reconnect with yourself, with your inner self. You realize how much capable you are, you know, to do absolutely anything. You come back to the real world, to the real life problems, and you're refreshed, you're stronger, you're calmer, you're more grounded, you know, you hit the ground going. So if you're waiting for the perfect time or the perfect travel partner, this is a sign. Book that trip, sis. Book that trip, bro. Because what are you waiting for? Start small if you have to. You don't have to go to like these big destinations. You don't have to go to Paris. But even a solo weekend away can change your mindset. And everyone in this world deserves to travel solo at least once in their lifetime. Not to escape, but to meet yourself. And I hope you do that for yourself. Anyways, if this has helped you, please like this video, share it with somebody who needs a little encouragement, subscribe for more travel and lifestyle content, and I'll see you in the next one.